Thank you, Colin. Okay, members, agenda item 1, apologies. We have no apologies tonight. So agenda item 2, declarations of interest, and we'll take them as we progress the meeting. Sorry, Alderman Mitri.
And I think Alderman Anderson. I think he. Right.
Okay, members, agenda item 3, we have a presentation from Rathfriland Regeneration Association. And doing the presentation is Graham McCrum and Paul McKevna. Or Paul Kavanagh, sorry, Paul. Welcome back, Paul. I haven't seen you in a while. So you look a bit like Billy Connolly there. Sorry. Councillor Duffy. First.
Yes, Chair, the hand up there for 3 apologies. Councillor Fergal Donnelly, Councillor Brona Haughey, Councillor Lehman Michael.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Okay, go back to the presentation with Paul Kavanagh and Graham McCrum. Welcome, Paul and Graham. And the presentation, Paul, is a 10 minutes presentation and 10 minutes questions, please. So whenever you're ready, you can fire away. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Are you seeing our presentation screen?
Not yet, Paul.
Okay. How is that, Chair? We're not.
Can't see it yet, Paul. Maybe Julianne. Can Julianne share it?
Share screen. Here we go. That's probably it now. What was that looking like, Chair?
Yeah, that's great, Paul. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for giving us this opportunity to share Rathfriland Regeneration's vision with Council, and I'm going to hand over to my colleague Graham to start the presentation.
Good evening, Council members. It's great to be able to present to you this evening, and really I suppose we just want to give, my role is to give a little bit of background as to what it is that we have been doing, who we are and what we hope to achieve, and really just to talk about how we can see our relationship with the Council developing in the future. We are a group of dedicated volunteers who since 1998 have sought to take a lead on the social, economic, commercial and cultural regeneration of our town. And we've had and have had some notable successes in that period, some of which some of you will already be aware of. I suppose it all started with the community centre in 1998, which was a great addition to the town, giving us a gym and space for recreation and football purposes. But other than that, we have had a notable success with regards to housing. And we've had a number of developments, particularly in the Church Square, of social housing flats and 2 retail units. One of the most greatest contributions to sort of those with children with autistic and sensory needs has been the opening of a sensory room, which the association opened. And I know indeed a lot of parents who have used this facility in the town and have been very fortunate to have this resource so close to home. We have a charity shop, which again has generated some much needed revenue for the association. And we're sitting in tonight, Paul and I are sitting in what we have called the community hub, which is where a lot of our activity of the association happens, but including training with the Southern Regional College classes And you can see as Paul goes through them here, some of the classes that we in the hub have been able to undertake because we have the facility here in the square in Rathfriland. We have a main shed, which I know produces much produce and sells seals to the local community. And that's a very positive association for those members. And so I suppose really what Paul's going to outline to you now is really just some of our current projects, where we're going, and how we hope we would see our relationship with the council develop in the months and years that lie ahead. So it's over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Graham. When the Bank of Ireland vacated their premises on the corner of John Street and Church Square 5 years ago, we bought that building with the view of turning it into a cultural and arts and community centre. And we began to source some funding. And this time last year, we were able to pull all of that together. So we began a £750,000 project to redevelop the Grade 2 listed building. And we've been working on that since. And at this point, I'll say that at that same time, the Levelling Up Fund that members may have heard of opened up, and we applied directly to Westminster to the Levelling Up Fund and included the restoration of Chandler's House in that application at that stage. We were just outside those that got funding from London, and the folks that are now based in Belfast coordinating the Levelling Up Fund have encouraged us to go again. So our objectives then really are to create a community park right in the centre of town and regenerate the historic buildings, of which there are many on Rathfriland, and help to support those businesses and encourage other businesses to grow in the town, bringing new life into it. So how would we go about that? And this is really what our request is to you this evening, that Council would work cooperatively with Rathfriland Regen to create this community green space in the centre of the town. And to do that, if we can establish a working group that would include council members and officers with Regeneration Committee members. And since writing this presentation, the Levelling Up Fund actually has opened now. And so it's really good timing so that we could go and apply again for funding to come directly from London to assist with this project. So what might we possibly include in this application? Reimagine the whole space that's in the middle of the town, and part of that is about 1 acre in gardens that we own behind the 2 buildings on the corner of the square. And we're saying here to spruce up, I suppose that's a colloquialism for help to give a facelift to the buildings that need it. And there's a number of derelict buildings that would like to tackle those as well. And of course, doing the physical thing is one, but helping the businesses actually to become better businesses, perhaps by training on online presences to enhance their actual shop front presence. So coming near to conclusion of our presentation, what we're asking from members tonight is that you would form a working group with us so that we can apply to the Levelling Up Fund directly to Westminster. I'm not sure if members are aware, you may well be. Northern Ireland organisations like ourselves can and are able to apply directly. And the time frame, well, as soon as we can get this organised. Applications close at the end of June this year. Thank you very much, and we're willing and able to take questions if you have any.
Thank you, Paul and Graham, for your presentation. And yes, some notable achievements there in that presentation, and your good work with the SRC. and there's some exciting plans for the future. So members, it's open to the floor. Any questions? Councillor Nicholson, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman, and apologies for being late. And but I think we got most of the presentation, and have to agree with you. Very impressive. It's great to see a local community, getting together and putting together such an impressive vision for their local area. And I, for one, would be supportive of whatever we can do to help this group going forward. Obviously, officers can go away and look and see what way the best the vehicle is to deal with that. But I suppose my question for the group is, have you any idea what is the budget for the overall vision? I know you've mentioned 750k in relation to the redevelopment of the building, but obviously there's a number of things there that, just to give me an idea, because it's hard to tell from the presentation, Chairman, the extent of what we're talking about. See, open space mentioned, community park, and other things like that. So, but regeneration of empty buildings and things like that. And as we know, in a council that is in the middle of THIs and things at the minute, we know how much that costs, and it's in the millions. To be honest with you, rather than hundreds of thousands. So it was just sort of something I would like to know if there's any sort of costings done on what their sort of overall vision would be. So thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Paul or Graham, do you want to take that?
Yes, we can, Chair, and thank you for the question, Councillor Nicholson. Based on the costings that we did last year, we had come up with a project that was about $1.5 million. We're being more ambitious this time round. And to give you an idea, the levelling up fund, a contribution does not have to be made to the overall budget. Westminster have said that they will support it 100%, but a contribution would be welcome. So the portion of ground that we are donating to the project, we've had it valued at about 200,000. So a cash equivalent that we would be putting in would be 200k towards what we think is a project in the region of $1.5 million to 2 million.
Thank you, Paul. Content, Councillor, thank you. Okay, members, Councillor Kyle Savage, please.
Thank you, Chair. Well done, the presentation. It's great to see community coming to the fore and giving us these presentations. Just perhaps a wee bit more about the group. I'm interested in, are you set up a social enterprise? And if so, how many people do you employ in that? Or are you just solely a community group? If you could answer that first, please.
We certainly can, Councillor Savage. Right now, we employ a cleaner part-time, but the rest of the work that we do is on a voluntary basis by our 16-member committee. No one employed at this point in time.
Does your committee range right across the community?
It's totally representative of the whole community in the town.
Good. No, no, there is a lot of groups within our council area. I'm involved with one or two myself that deliver these classes and all, and it's great to see and the benefit of them. So congratulations on that. Well done. But happy to support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Okay, members, with two more speakers, we have Councillor Pope first, and then we'll take Councillor Jill McCauley after that. So, Councillor Pope, please.
Thank you very much, Chair, and apologies, no video. And thank you very much indeed, Paul and Graham, and for all the group's work to date, and for the aspirations and plans. If a proposer or a seconder is required for those two asks in terms of the working group, and also assistance with the Levelling Up Fund application, then more than happy to do that. Paul, in terms of the working group, how often did you foresee that meeting, or is that something that you can work out with council officers? Thanks.
Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Pope. I think it's too early just to say that at the moment, but at the first meeting we can quickly come to an agreement as to what it would need to be. Perhaps I could say at this stage that the application that we made last year holds us in very good stead, because on a quick look at this year's criterion, they are exactly the same as last year, which means that we have a good deal of the foundation work done for the application.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, Brian, happy enough?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jill. Councillor Macaulay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm happy enough to second Councillor Pope's proposals there, and I think well done, Paul and Graham, on your presentation. I'm no stranger to you guys and the great work you do in the town. I think the mammoth efforts that you do to date. Everybody's in no doubt that you have ambitious plans for the future development of our town. So I think it is imperative that we as a council would work in partnership with Rathfriland Regen, and just to help to support you in your efforts and to further regenerate the town centre, because I suppose as a gateway town, I've always complained that we do need an awful lot more input and investment and encouragement for private investment as well. So hence, I think we need to open up vital economic opportunities, and not only probably for the greater area of Rathfriland, but the whole borough. So I'm happy enough to second that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Macaulay. Paul or Graham, do you want to come back in there? Thank you.
No, thank you, members, for giving us the opportunity. Maybe just a closing statement. The Chandler's House building that we're currently redeveloping, costing $750,000. We raised 400,000 in funding from various sources, and we have taken a loan of 200,000 on ourselves over a period of 5 years to help get it done. Just to give you an idea of the wherewithal that we're able to raise and the ambitious plans that we have for the town.
That's great, Paul. Thanks very much, and thanks, Graham, for your presentation, and thanks for your time tonight. Officers are working with the group, and they will bring further report back. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Okay, bye. Okay, members, agenda item 4 on the Strategic Director report, and Olga's taking this with two items for decision. So Olga, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. The first report tonight is in relation to annual business plans, and members will be aware that to each of the service committees, the forthcoming business plans are being presented, and to this committee it relates to the business plans for the Economic Development and Tourism, Arts and Culture departments. Again, the business plans are set in the context of our corporate planning agenda and also our medium-term recovery plan as well. And like all plans, they're subject to change to reflect and adapt to the external environment that takes place. In terms of the appendices, it contains the full business plans. It outlines the key actions, performance measures, which are linked to our overall council commitments and objectives as well. In terms of economic development, some of the key areas will be around continued business growth, support, employability and skills agenda, and helping our SMEs to continue to develop. About working on our sectoral strengths for our borough through place-based economic approach, and then supporting the sustainability of our urban and rural areas as well. In terms of tourism, it's about how to develop the product and offer as an experience which will attract increasing visitor numbers, working very closely with the tourism and hospitality sector and industry to develop the area as a destination, especially coming out of the pandemic, and then working on cultural-led regeneration and events and developing our tourism facilities to attract visitors as well. So the recommendation before members is that members approve the business plans for the forthcoming financial year for the Economic Development and Tourism, Arts and Culture departments.
Thank you, Olga. We have Councillor Nicholson, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman, and thanks, Olga, for your report. Chairman, I'm happy to propose the recommendation in the report this evening. However, Olga, I would emphasise again, I was speaking to a number of people over the last week or two of the difficulty of getting staff within the hospitality sector. It's a massive, massive issue. And I suppose it's kind of like, absolutely, we have to continue to develop, our offer, our attraction, etc., to try and develop the tourism potential of the whole borough. But we have to help these businesses because they're really struggling getting people to do what they need to do, within their businesses. And I suppose the other thing is, I hope it doesn't. We are still looking for that quality residential accommodation as well, and also a varied type of accommodation as well. To open up other opportunities to create business opportunities, be it rural, be it urban, for a hospitality and residential. But I'm happy to propose, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Alderman Mitri, please.
Somebody's making a big mistake there if they think that's Alderman Woodley. I don't know who would be most insulted, but anyway, we'll leave that for another one. Thank you, Chair. I have just a couple of quick questions, if that's possible. Can I ask, first of all, in table 4.8, we know that the employment comes in at £863,000. Can I ask, is that just staff wages, or does that stretch beyond that? Just sorry. And secondly, whenever just before the director comes in, how does this business plan at a high level differ from the last one, given that we're in a very different economic situation and in fact a very fluid one at the moment? Those please answer.
Go ahead, Olga.
Thank you, Alderman Boutray. In terms of the funding support to Labour Market Partnership, that includes all the proposed activity for the forthcoming year. So it would be the different programmes, but then there would be, there's 2 members of staff would be linked to that programme as well, which would be fully funded by the Department for Communities. In terms of the current circumstances, I'm picking up Councillor Nicholson's comment as well. Unemployment is almost at an all-time low. So the various opportunities for employment in our borough are stretched at the moment because we need to ensure that our companies have access to labour and also to upskill their staff as well. The context for our plan is set in our overall corporate agenda, but we have been doing work on our own recovery and growth framework. And we've been also looking at the various government plans that have been put in place as well, and how do we work with them around the 10X economic plan, the green growth strategy. But also, like all plans, they're subject to change. And that's where we as an organisation can adapt and bring forward different priorities over the year as well. And that was shown very much the work that we did around the business support hub around COVID we were able to realign all our programs to help businesses at that particular time.
Thank you, Olga. Content, Stephen?
Yes, sure. Content at this point in time, as long as we have flexibility built into the year that we can react to any situation, that arises. Just I've one other question, and it's around the tourism aspect. So if I can take that now, if that's okay. I mean, unfortunately, despite the very best efforts of everyone here, we weren't successful with UK City of Culture on this occasion. And any work around Game of Thrones is probably, from Council's aspect, coming to fruition. What other opportunities is seen out there, that we can utilise at the minute in relation to tourism across the borough? And can I have a very quick update, please, just again from the Director in relation to the piece of work that was done around hotel provision?
I'll update around the hotel and piece of work, and then I'll ask Brian to comment in terms of the work around tourism, in terms of our plans for it as well. We've undertaken the first piece of the hotel accommodation investment audit in terms of scoping out that piece of work. So that first piece of work is being completed. The second stage is under procurement at the moment, and we're due to appoint a technical agent in May with a completion date of 8 weeks. So it'll be started next month.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Alderman Moutray, for the question. I think, as you've said, a key opportunity for this year is the Game of Thrones visitor attraction, having opened in February, and again, as it starts to gather momentum and pace. So I think our focus is about, in the short term, is about trying to get businesses back on their feet and help them, as Councillor Nicholson said, there's big issues around staffing and sort of capacity issues there as well. But I think it's, again, the business plan has evolved into where the current circumstances are at. The international markets are just starting to come back. So even in the last couple of weeks, the biggest event that the Tourist Board do in the year, the Tour Operator Workshop, the evening event was at Game of Thrones, and I think they can see the sort of the huge potential of that. So we will be working to lever that as much as we can and work as closely with that as close as we can. But again, there's a lot of initiatives across the borough. We've been working on different experiences across the borough, and it's trying to upskill the industry and work with them to get the most benefit. So it's probably 100 small interventions plus Game of Thrones as opposed to 1 or 2 big ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Content, Stephen? Okay, thank you. Members, with 2 more, no, 3 mistakes as well. Bring in Councillor Kyle Savage, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just, Olga, one question there on the expenditure. Supplies and services coming in there at 1.6 odd million. A bit more of a breakdown in that would be helpful. So, but also, are we complying with the notice of motion that went through Council about supporting local within that sector, within that supplies and services of goods? So it is. And then could I take you on to CC1, performance indicators, where it states deliver vibrant and successful markets through, across the borough, Portadown, Lurgan, Banbridge, and Armagh. I know perhaps you are looking to get rid of Dromore, but is there any possibility for the Dromore to be added into that, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Olga.
Councillor Savage, in terms of the 1.6 million, we can sort of provide the breakdown. That's part of the annual budgets, but a lot of it goes to the sort of like the work and the programs that we actually do in the various events, etc. as well. Could you just repeat the second point?
Yeah, well, I suppose really, does any of that supplies and services go to consultants? Or that's really what I'm highlighting?
Yes, there would be various delivery agents that we that tender for some of our programs. Some of the external programs that are funded, we rely on those types of delivery agents that are funded through external. We do bring on board some technical expertise to help us in areas where perhaps we don't have that function within the council at this particular period of time. And that's within some of those projects around capital development that we're doing for some of the regeneration projects. In terms of support local and shop local and buy local, a lot of work was done in the recovery phase in terms of our messaging around supporting local and shop local. And then members will be aware that about 2 months ago, we had a presentation about inclusive growth in the community wealth building. And part of that's around the whole social value as well. So part of those discussions are how do we ensure our procurement is working more on that social value contracts, and work has started in relation to that.
Thanks, Olga. Content, Kyle?
Quickly, Chair, thank you very much. No, well, I suppose the point I'm trying to get to is that it's all right, we've done the PR and around support local, buy local and all, but council needs to do their part in that as well. So that, and then just take you on to CC1 again there, Olga, about the vibrant, successful markets across the borough. There's names everywhere, but Jamore as one of the urban centres. So if we could get that added in, please.
Okay, thank you, Olga. Yes, Kyle, when that added in, yes, thank you. Okay, members, we have 2 more speakers, and we'll take the two questions, and then we'll go to the director for the answers. So we'll take in Councillor O'Hanlon first, and then Alderman Spears. Councillor O'Hanlon.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Olga, for the report. Can I just, I suppose, draw out a couple of pieces? And I know there's a paper later on in relation to the City of Culture bid, but there was a lot of good work done in terms of engaging with communities and in terms of prepping that bid. I'd be keen to see that a lot of that work isn't wasted, and would want to see some proposals come forward around a cultural plan for the borough, and in particular, I'm looking at places around Armagh, but how we got communities to work together, what our vision was as part of the City of Culture bid, and I'd be keen to see a plan that we could produce that could see the outworking of all that work. That in essence we didn't succeed in the bid on this occasion, but I don't want the paper just to go put back on the shelf and say, okay, sorry lads, we didn't get anywhere there. I'd be keen to see how we can implement as much of that plan in our own through our own sphere. Secondly, then picking up in relation to investment, maybe ask Brian to come in relation to the tourism infrastructure, and a note there is plan or the spending around Navan and F.E. McWilliam and others, including the Marketplace Theatre. And I'd be keen to see how we could have some discussions with, and I'm particularly thinking of Navan in terms of the All Island strategy and how we can work with. Sorry, somebody's shouting and giving out in the background. But in terms of the Department of the Taoiseach in relation to the All Island Fund, and see where if we can tap into some funds there. And I still would express concern that since the new council has come into being, we've taken our foot off the pedal in relation to Navan, and I'd be keen to see a structured report come back to see about investment and growth in that facility. And finally, just in relation to a point that Councillor Savage made in relation to markets, for those of us in the Armagh DEA, we received correspondence recently around some issues around the market in Armagh. I know Councillor O'Neill has been down and visited some of the traders on our behalf, and I'd be keen to see if there could be a roundtable discussion around how we can expand, invest and grow our market provision across the borough, and happy for Councillor Savage indicated to include Dromore. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. A lot to take in there. I'll maybe take this for Shall. You're going ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon, and then I'll hand over to Brian in terms of the investment piece and Nicola in terms of the markets. The opportunity that bidding for the City of Culture designation was unifying for our borough and did provide us an opportunity to raise our profile locally, nationally, and also internationally as well. It has been set in the context of the work we've been doing around the Armagh Place Plan, and then also around our plans for regeneration and as well as impact as well. So we will certainly are taking on board the feedback that we're getting back from the government agencies, but also then how do we build upon that? And we will be bringing a report back in terms of our plans and also incorporating what members have highlighted as well about the authenticity of our place and the rich cultural and community events that exist as well and how to build on those. I'll hand over to Brian in terms of the tourism investment.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the question, Councillor O'Hanlon. I think members will be aware that there are a number of funds out there at the moment, and I think there was a paper brought last month in terms of levelling up and the projects that might go through that. There's also obviously Shared Island and a number of other funds. So we are looking at that. I know the Director is looking at that sort of more corporately in terms of how we find the right funds to bid for the right projects. So there's a bit of work going on this in the next couple of weeks around that. And again, just similarly as was mentioned with the previous presentation around Rathfriland and the conversation around levelling up. I know there's a pending deadline of July for the next round of those. So we are looking at a number of funds and trying to get that corporately aligned across the council rather than sort of specific projects. But yes, actively there are a number of projects I think within all of the departments that we're looking at that could potentially go forward for those. And happy to bring another report back in terms of that, in terms of plans. You specifically mentioned Navan. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Olga. Content, Thomas? Okay, Alderman Spears.
Sorry, Chair, the bit about the markets.
Sorry, yeah, Nicola.
Thank you. And thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon, for the question. As we all know, markets are a really, really important tool that we have to create vibrancy and a point of difference in our town centres. And they, they provide a living for local retailers and local traders and a way of getting goods to market as well. So I think your suggestion of getting around the table, having a little bit more of a discussion around it and thinking around maybe longer term investment is a good one and something that should be followed up with.
Thank you, Nicola. Okay, Thomas.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Alderman Spears, please.
Pardon? All right now, okay. Chairman, by and large, it's simply a question I want to pose, probably to Brian. I had a phone call about a week ago from someone in terms of self-catering accommodation and the availability of it within the borough. And secondly, there's a provincial body or probably a national body that promotes and that you can book through this type of accommodation. Have we had any meaningful engagement with these people, or I think it's a niche of catering, of self-catering, of holiday that there is opportunities in, and I would like to think that it's something that we can maybe create some focus on. Sort of bed and breakfast facilities have, well, not disappeared, but to a great extent it has moved into the hotel scene. But there is still a demand for the self-catering type of accommodation, and I think we're possibly missing out on opportunities that may be able to avail of. I don't know what the tourist board or whatever or funding opportunities there are, but I still think that there is an opportunity here for development in that field to create the sort of the family atmosphere within the area, and maybe for 7 or 8 people and that type of thing. And it's, to some extent, it's lacking right across the area. And I'm just wondering, have we give any thought to sort of, right, there's an issue here, how do we focus on it? And can we do anything or engage with anyone in terms of developing it? So just seek some information in relation to it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jim. Brian, go ahead, Brian.
Chair, and thank you, Alderman Spears. Yes, I have figures to hand in terms of the number of units, and I think there's 71 self-catering units across the borough. Which there's obviously, I think there's in excess of 170 rooms included with those. Occupancy isn't brilliant, and again, it's very seasonal in nature, But and similar figures for bed and breakfast sector. We have a lot of inquiries at the minute for business opportunities around that. And when we looked at the City of Culture bid, to be honest, self-catering, bed and breakfast, Airbnb were all part of the solution, because there are things that could be delivered much quicker. So when we put the bid in, we talked about growing that sector. So there aren't many funds out there at the moment for them, and we're working with a number of industry bodies. But I think even some of the inquiries you've had through recently from different potential developers, I think people do need help. So it's a lot of diversification where people are maybe from a farming background and need help, because it's not straightforward. You could make the wrong investment. So I think even from our calls, I think we need put a bit more support in around that, and making sure we've got the support to enable those people to develop those projects, and they are quite a quick win, so if we can, and we've talked before with an accommodation workshop where we talked about the points for the charge, for motor homes and all of that. So I think it's that whole wider accommodation base. We have spent a lot of time concentrating on trying to get hotel developments, but I think it's probably a mixture of both. And I think we need a bit more emphasis on that. So, and thanks for the inquiries you've raised, and and again the people you've been bringing forward, and other members as well. So yes, we had an accommodation workshop in Sinless probably over a year ago. So I think we need to come back and revisit that and see where we're at with that, so I can bring more information back on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, and content, Jim. Okay. Thank you. Okay, members, we have one more speaker, and it's Councillor O'Neill, please.
Thank you, Chair. It's just on the markets issue. I'd just like to welcome the proposal for the engagement. I know that traders are frustrated, and there is a lot of room for growth in the area. So I would just welcome the opportunity to get a discussion about that, and that we need council-led intervention. Thank you.
Thank you, Grania. Thank you. Okay, members, that got a good bit of discussion there. So we'll have a proposed by Councillor Nicholson and seconded by Alderman Moody. Everyone content? Okay. 4.2, Olga.
This is in relation to the investment strategy for Northern Ireland. The Northern Ireland Executive launched its consultation process for the draft Infrastructure 2050, the draft investment strategy for Northern Ireland. The report has gone out to consultation seeking input from different agencies, and a cross-departmental response has been provided in the appendix. The infrastructure plan highlights the importance of investment to achieve the ambitions of a greener and fairer society. And in terms of its key objectives are around decarbonisation of the economy and society, strengthening and protecting essential services, building a strong, connected and competitive region, enhancing communities and places, and maximising the benefits of new technologies. The key areas where government's investment in infrastructure are allocated are around road projects, housing, waste and wastewater, schools, transports and hospitals. And they have highlighted that there needs to be a more coordinated approach to investment based on outcomes, needs, and ultimately in terms of the financial funding that will be available in the future as well. The draft response is attached for members' input or any additional comments, and the closing date for the applications is the 20th of April. We've also indicated in our response the importance of the Council's role and our contributor to the overall Northern Ireland economy, but also how we act as a hub for a number of regional services as well. And we've also highlighted the importance of the use of data and economic modelling when decisions are going to be made in terms of an allocation of investment in the future. So the recommendation is that members approve the draft response to Infrastructure 2050, the investment strategy for Northern Ireland.
Okay, thank you, Olga. We have a couple of speakers here. We'll take Councillor Nicholson first and then Councillor Kyle Savage. Councillor Nicholson.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman, and thanks, Olga, for the report. And Chairman, I'm happy to propose the recommendation in front of us here this evening. Olga, there was one question I had, and I probably don't have the answer tonight, but I had a meeting through another group with the Infrastructure Minister, and she was talking about setting up an infrastructure commission. And I'm just wondering, before the end of the stormont, before the election was called, did that happen? Because obviously that was key to protect and sort of infrastructure projects going forward, and in relation to delivery on around year to year long-term budgets. I've read the draft response, Olga, and I think you've got a lot of stuff in there, and I'm glad to see obviously the Armagh rail link, and I'm glad to see the east and west link roads. So I'm delighted as far as that goes. But no, if you could sort of find out, if you can, Olga, on that one about the commission, because that was something really interested me when I met with the minister, that I could see it really being something that could maybe drive these things forward. So, but happy to propose, Chair.
Chair, we've lost volume or noise from the chamber to those of us participating on Zoom.
Okay, now, Thomas. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Colin. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Olga, for that. Councillor Kyle Savage, please.
Thank you, Chair. One of the things coming out of it, happy to support in the round and happy to seconds if needed, Olga. A while back, a couple of years ago, I think it was, Northern Ireland Water came in and done a presentation, highlighted the investment that they were going to be carrying out throughout the council area. And one of those areas was Warrenstown. And I see in your report that where they're doing the modelling in Warrenstown to see how they're going to fix the wastewater issues and around that. And at that stage, they give us a date that was going to be done by 2027, but it's, we need to know when this is going to happen, because I think at that stage they had announced 1.1 million for a spend in Warrenstown. But by the time they get round it, it'll probably be 2050 the way they carry on. So we need to be keeping the pressure on these people to deliver within the time frame. But it's also the knock-on effect this is going to have in the area plan. We've got presentations from housing, Department of Communities on housing. We need 100,000 houses within Northern Ireland. The infrastructure needs to be right. The infrastructure is going to be delivered too late for the housing need and development that we need within our own council area. So the pressure needs to be kept on these guys to deliver. It's okay, report after report after report, but it's action we need on the ground to deliver this. But happy to support it in the round.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Savage. Okay, members, Alderman Spears.
Chairman, it's just to speak in the context of the what Councillor Savage has referred to, and is referring to Banbridge and Warringstown catchment. I refer to a place near our home to me, really, and I speak about Market Hill. I dealt with a situation recently where a lady had a house and she had got planning permission for a second one in a row. It was very, very suitable development, and the capacity of the sewage works was absolutely full, and not only would they not allow connection to the sewerage, when the lady in question, the developer, proposed the opportunity to put in treatment works within the site, obviously the effluent of such would be discharged into the mains, and that was again refused. So, I mean, this is a very, very acute problem in some areas. And yes, the water service was here on an occasion and they gave us a programme. And I'd be interested to see where we are with that programme. I have had correspondence with them, and I think anyone that has had correspondence with water service, they tend to have a normal sense of reply, which is more or less, we have very little money, you need to lobby your politicians, so to speak. And it seems a very lame excuse, literally. They are a statutory department, and one would assume, I think rightly, that they have a role and responsibility in the provision that we speak about. And I think it's by no means fair comment to come back to public representatives and say, for to lobby your politicians, for to get more money for to do these things. But it's a point that can't be made strongly enough. It is acute within parts of this area where you can't literally build one house. So it is something that has got to be addressed and addressed quickly. And I would appeal to Council when we're taking this forward that we engage with Northern Ireland Water in relation to this and try and get a resolution to some of these problems, because it's not going away. It's not going away, and it's quite serious. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Spears. Olga, do you want to come back in there, or are you content just to note?
Certainly, the issue around the impact of wastewater in our borough, is recognised, and we've also had reports back in terms of companies, in terms of development as well. So we'll certainly follow up in terms of the executive with the Northern Ireland Water to understand what is a timetable for their plans for our borough. And then when members have an opportunity to meet with them again, I think it's important to get clearer information, because this is vital for our own infrastructure development and for us to attract and grow our rate space.
Thank you, Olga. Okay, Councillor Kyle Savage, last comment, please.
Thank you, Chair. I was recently contacted by a farmer in Marlin, and his land just covered in raw sewage. And that's happening in our... I would like us to write to Northern Ireland Water and invite them back here into this committee as soon as possible to give us an update. I would also like to know the pollution incidents within our council area, that they have that information there for us, because this is widespread and it's having a massive effect. I've been affected my own farm in recent years, and it's disgusting at this day and age. And whenever you go into some of our towns, villages, Warrenstown in particular, heavy storm and the sewage is flowing down the street. That is not acceptable. So it's not. And you look at other areas and the development keeps going on, whatever's going on. People can draw their own conclusions to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Savage. Can we have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Barry, please. Okay, members, we have a proposer and seconder for 4.2, proposed by Councillor Sam Nicholson and seconded by Councillor Kyle Savage. Everyone agreed? Agreed, okay. Next item is for information. Does anyone want to comment? Councillor Kyle Savage.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Just, I suppose, start off by thanking all the team that worked in this. Lisa O'Malley has put a lot of work into the agri strategy, and her, and I want to thank, I don't like naming names, but I want to thank her for the work that she's put in on this. But a couple of wee points there quickly. Balmoral show that's coming up there, Olga. Will we be sort of highlighting the agri strategy that we have launched within council and showing off really what we have achieved so far to date? There's a lot of work to be done. I see your time scales there, not the 6 months. It's, in all fairness, probably not happening as quick as I'd love it to happen, but can some of that work be doubled up on to speed the process up? Because I think we do need to grasp this opportunity within the agri-food industry. I was contacted today by a farmer, and at the end of this month, his meal bill goes up £65 per tonne. So we need to be doing whatever we can to highlight and to support these businesses going forward. So they're a vital part of our community, and at least to let them know somebody is doing something within the elected representatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Savage. Olga?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Savage. And Balmoral will be a great opportunity for us this year. It's been a couple of years since we've had an opportunity to be there. And we are using our brand of the agricultural strategy to help in terms of raise the awareness of also the food heartland. We're also working closely with the Ulster Farmers Union in terms of being members of them as well. So to help us to understand how do we gather information, how do we collect data and information at the Balmoral show so we can actually meet the rural community and the farmers on the ground. And there are challenges out there for the farming community and for the farming sector. And that's why it's important that we are signposting and working with all those other support services to make sure that farmers are accessing the support measures that are out there as well. So, and Nicola will be talking further on about the food heartland as part of Balmoral later on in the agenda.
Thank you, Olga. Councillor Nicholson, please.
Yep, thanks, Chairman. And I totally agree, Olga. It'll be great to have the Food Heartland and back at Balmoral. I think it was a great success when it was there before. And I do think it'll be an excellent opportunity to showcase our agri strategy. And I do agree with you, that there is a lot of challenges ahead of within agriculture and the agri-food. And Councillor Savage has touched on one of them, and that's going to be costs with what's going on beyond our control at this moment in time. And I hate to say it, it's going to get worse, because things aren't just happening as quickly as are getting sorted out as quickly as people would like, with energy costs, etc., and things like that going through the roof. But my question, Olga, is in relation to this. Just I'm not sure you give me the answer tonight. How have we resourced this? Many officers we got working on this here. As Councillor Savage has touched, not 6 months. How many of the members of staff will be working on this purely to try and deliver on these 10, obviously, points here, which again has been said there is very, very critical going forward. So I'm not expecting you to answer that, but you can come back to me at some stage. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Okay, Olga, you come back with them. Okay, members, thank you. Thanks for that report, Olga. Okay, members, moving on to agenda item 5 and with Nicola. Okay, Nicola.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. Item 5.1 is a decision item around employability and skills update and support with the Labour Market Partnership priority sector interventions. And since this report was drawn up, there's been a further development and a further update. I just wanted to mention as part of this that the Department for Communities have committed to the Labour Market Partnership and have agreed to support funding from the 1st of April. And they're able to support 85% of what we asked for just at the moment, with hopefully a guarantee of 100% further on down the line. So in total, that works out at £578,000 as a start, with the additional money hopefully coming later on. But it's a good chance for us to really start as a council to get ahead and to get some of the initiatives moving. So the decision required, it's recommended that members are requested to note the update on employability and skills across the borough and support the ABC Labour Market Partnership priority sector interventions.
Thank you, Nicola. Yeah, that's great news. So thank you. Okay, members, with Councillor Nicholson, please.
Yeah, Chairman, totally agree with you. Thanks, Nicola, for the report. This is good news. I touched on earlier about the problems out there within the labour market, and hopefully this will potentially help those people in hospitality and right across construction. And I don't think there's anybody that isn't struggling at the minute trying to get people and skilled people, and it'll give our young people an opportunity, in relation to that. So I do think this has to be welcomed, and I'm happy to propose it, Chair. And especially when I saw there that we're going to run another HGV, which is great as well, because obviously that was a big thing as well in relation to that, because I know a couple of guys availed of that and they said it was very good. So definitely it's our council again leading, which is great. A big congratulations, Nicola, to you and the staff for delivering this, and it's great that this is going to continue on into a second phase, if you like, and hopefully we'll not need a third phase, but let's hopefully that things get a bit better. But I do think things to get here, and obviously with thank them the Department of Communities for again coming on board in this and working with us in partnership. But no, happy to propose, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Councillor Thomas O'Hanlon, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Nicola, for the report. Just in picking up on the virtual job fairs, I know I did mention it last month, and we were advised we'd hopefully get it this month. And now I see, according to the report, it'll be next month before we get details. Look, whilst I welcome these job fairs, there's no point in carrying on with them if people aren't, or people are attending, and then employers aren't getting the employees they need or want. So I'd be keen to see that data come back to us, Nicola, next month. And obviously would also share Councillor Nicholson's thanks in relation to seeing that HGV training and employment scheme brought forward. I think that's definitely something that would be very, very welcome.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon, and Nicola. I'm sure we'll bring more information back. Okay, thank you. Alderman Ridley, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to concur with the remarks the colleagues have already made, and to second if Councillor O'Hanlon hasn't done that, but if he has, it doesn't matter.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, members. Well, it's proposed by Councillor Nicholson and seconded by, I think, Councillor O'Hanlon. Are you happy enough to second it? Okay, thank you. Everyone agreed? Okay, members, thank you. Okay, members, the next 4 items, 5.2 to 5.5, are items for information. And if anyone wants to speak, okay. Councillor Kyle Savage, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just on the business support, again, relating to conversations I've had over this last number of days with local businesses, and one this morning. And I think we need to do more to see what we can do to help, especially in the energy crisis we're facing, which is going to get a lot worse. But to give an example, one business last month, their electricity bill was £3,000. This month is £6,500. So what I would like, and I would make this a proposal, and that we invite Northern Ireland Electricity Networks in here to give a presentation, and I'll give my reasons why. That this council inquire from Northern Ireland Networks with regard to the limitations being placed on behind the meter installation of renewables. Currently, those who wish to install renewables and can afford to do so are being restricted from reducing their carbon demands by legal frameworks which are stifling the economy and the move to net zero. I'd make that a proposal that we bring Northern Ireland Electricity Networks in here to answer if that's possible to do so, because it's not good enough. Everybody's talking the talk, but nobody's delivering on this. And we have businesses there. I've been contacted. They can't put on renewables because of Northern Ireland restricting. So that has to stop. We have no Stormont at the minute. So we're the next line of defence in trying to help our local businesses. So that is a proposal I'd like to make if somebody's happy to second. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Okay, members, can we have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Sam Nicholson. Thank you, Sam. Okay, members, Councillor Paul Barry, please.
Okay, Chair, I would just like to agree with Councillor Savage in relation to that, and was happy to fully support it. As one who works with a lot of local businesses, I was just talking to a small cafe owner there the other day whose electric has now gone up $2,500 in a quarter. You'd be pouring some cups of coffee and lattes to pay for that, and it's just totally unacceptable. And I totally agree with Councillor Savage that we need to bring in IE here and cross-examine them in relation to this to see what can be done to help businesses, because if something doesn't happen, small businesses like that are not going to survive if this continues. That's the bottom line. And no matter what business support we try to put in, nothing will stop this.
Absolutely, Paul, and a point well made. Thank you. Alderman Ridley, please.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to speak in relation to 5.4, the Balmoral Show update. Very much welcome this. It's positive. It's good that Council will be back and that we will be highlighting the Food Heartland Showcase at the show this year. Can I just ask the officer how many local food producers will be able to participate in this, the premier event in Northern Ireland?
Thanks, Stephen. And yes, Nicola, you take this, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Yes, this is the premier event in Northern Ireland in terms of agriculture. And you can see from the report there, the 140,000 visitors attend across the 4 days. So it's absolutely vital that we, as such an agri-food region and one steeped in agriculture, are there represented in a large way. So we have been doing our part as a council, and we have 14 businesses in the Food Heartland Showcase area. This is within the Northern Ireland Food Pavilion. So if anybody has been there before, you can see having the numbers together is very, very impressive. And the quality of the food, the provenance of the food is second to none. So we're very, very proud to be able to support that and to bring our food producers there as well. But also independently, because we are such a great region for agri-food, I know that 8 to 10 producers are attending independently. So we have the largest presence in the food pavilion, which is excellent. It's really, really good. So we're really, really pleased with the businesses and how they have responded to the challenge. But as a council, we don't just want the businesses to attend. We want them to get the best business opportunity out of it. And we know that that's what you want as well. So we've been running a pre-Balmoral training program, and we actually had one today. And that's about ensuring that all the businesses that are going there get an opportunity to have their elevator pitch ready, that they get the chance to talk to some of the buyers that come round, potentially from the retailers, the large retailers, so that they can sell their business and they can make as much as they can out of their business, whether it's at Balmoral or at a future opportunity. So, you know, we know that that's what you want, not just to have a presence at Balmoral. So we're absolutely delighted to be part of it. And that our food producers are stepping up independently and also as part of the Food Heartland.
Thank you, Nicola. That's great work and well done. Stephen, you want to come back in that?
Sure. And I welcome the answer that Nicola has provided. Can I just be assured that all of those food producers, including the 11 that are there independently, will be able to access PR from this council to the very maximum, so that we can showcase them all, even the ones that aren't actually on the stand? Thank you, Chair.
Good point, Stephen. Thank you. Okay, members, Councillor Nicholson, and then we'll have Alderman Spears.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman, and thanks, Nicola. And as I said before, it's great news that we're back in Balmoral, and it's great that you're actually doing what you're doing with the producers to allow them to network. And we know how important networking is with suppliers and food chains and things, and it'll open potentially, you know, business chains for these producers, which will be great, and it would be great to see that. And my question, Nicola, is are you planning for the Food Heartland to take part in the second Premier Agricultural Outdoor event in Armagh show this year? I was asking, I would like to ask that question, and if you're not, I'd like to propose that we do, because we have done it before. And obviously, yes, the third event, Lurgan show, can be included as well. But look, anyway, as I say, it's great to be back out and about and celebrating what this borough is really good at. And one of the things this borough is good at, should I say, and as I say, celebrating and showcasing the produce in the largest and most premier events. So congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, Chair, I don't really know how to answer that. I can't actually say which is the second or the third largest, but as we used to say 20 odd years ago when I started in council, we're in the hands of members. So whatever you wish, we will make happen.
Thank you, Nicola. Okay, Alderman Spears and then Councillor O'Halloran.
Chairman, to some extent, Commissioner Nicholson stole my thunder, but in any event, I'm quite happy with that. I was about to ask that it is the premier event within this borough. Indeed, it's the premier event and the provincial event in Northern Ireland, the Armagh show. And from memory in the past, the council had a fair input at that with the Food Heartland. And I certainly would very much encourage that we further engage on that. It was, you know, Armagh show has developed into really, I think it is now the second show in the province. There is little doubt about that, and it's recognised as such. And that, I think, came last week at the launch when we had I think it's the president or the chairman of the show's movement had indicated that Armagh was at that point. And I certainly will fully support the idea that we further engage there. And indeed, other aspects of council can't stand aside, as it were, in relation to an event, a premier event of that nature. There's PR opportunities here for this borough and for council. And I think we, at an event of that nature, indeed, let it be Armagh or Lurgan or wherever, I think there's opportunities for us to showcase what we do best. And I would be fully supportive of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Councillor O'Hanlon, please.
Yeah, Chair. 2 points. First of all, thanks, Nicola, for the report. And I suppose it's a reference to the Balmoral show. Look, as someone who attended the show last year, it was a glaring omission that we weren't there, and we talk about all our investment in the Food Heartland and then weren't there last year. So, like Alderman Mutry, I'm glad to see the council's presence back there. But for those who are part of the Food Heartland and who aren't there independently, is there an opportunity to reach out to those organisations and maybe schedule some sort of time on our stand? Because in fairness, our stand is basically talking up all these providers. So if we are located there, that some of them who are there independently, but those who aren't, see if there's a way of accommodating them on our stand at a different period throughout the 3 days, I think that would be useful, and if that could be investigated. Secondly, Chair, just in relation to 5.5, in relation to an update on the full fibre networks, can I ask that we bring Fibrous and possibly a representative from DETI to a future committee? I know this is in relation to the full fibre networks and where the councils are involved, but Fibrous are involved in the rollout of Project Stratum. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting a lot of calls from people who are being missed out because they aren't on the pointer system that DETI and the Fibrous used. In fact, one gentleman, there's a pole has been placed in his garden, and there is to enable broadband brought into the Derry Noose area, and he can't avail of the broadband. So I think it's in this day and age that's pathetic. And I propose that we bring Fibrous and the Department of the Economy into a future meeting to discuss the issues with the rollout of Project Stratum.
Thomas, and yes, look, I'll have enough to second that there. So, okay, Nicola, thank you. Okay, last speaker on this item is Councillor Kyle Savage, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just back to Food Heartland and at Balmoral show and that, and what contribution will our tourism sector make in that? You know, food tourism is a massive growth within the area, within the country. But it's good to see that we are back at Balmoral show, but we need to be really pushing this and supporting our local businesses. And as Alderman Mutry had said there about the PR coming out of that, we need to do that. Also down to our local shows after Balmoral, the first show will be in Lurgan, in the biggest park in Northern Ireland. So it is. And then I think a couple of weeks after that, we'll go away up the country somewhere, around an apple tree. But I think we need to be, as a council, supporting those local shows every bit as well, and to bring even local suppliers and all into that, to give them the opportunity to showcase their products and to support them every way in which we can, you know. And I think, where is the Armagh show at anyway? Is it? I think they have to go to Market Hill to have it, so they do. But anyway, that's besides the point.
Thanks. Thank you, Kyle. Okay, Nicola, do you want to come in briefly?
No, I don't really think I have anything else I could possibly add to the conversation, except, as I said, we're in the hands of members, and I'm so delighted, and I know all of us officers are delighted with that you're so involved and that you're so engaged with the agri-food sector and the agriculture strategy, and it does our heart good, and it's lovely to see. Thank you.
Okay, members, thank you, Nicola, and that's your report finished. So thanks very much for that. So, okay, members, agenda item 6, and with Brian for tourism. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening again, members. So this is just an information report in terms of the work that's going on in Banbridge. So just to acknowledge the commitment of the working group, which is a mixture of members and the Chamber of Trade. So the projects are in front of you in terms of an update. And just to flag up an event in Banbridge that's going on between the 21st and the 23rd of April in terms of really good programme of activity. And again, we're hoping to get as many people to that as possible. So that's just an update for information. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, Councillor Barry, please.
Thank you, Chair. And I think it would be important just to continue to commend our staff and indeed the members that are on that group. I was in Banbridge on Friday, and I must say I was very impressed in the way the town was looking and the work already to date that has taken place, even the artwork around the walls and different things, and those buildings that had once looked terrible now look really revitalised. And I actually bumped into Shane, one of our officers, on the street to commend him and his team, because it does look really well, and Banbridge is looking well. It's the town was packed, and it was good to see businesses packed. In fact, I bumped into Councillor O'Hanlon in a cafe, but he didn't buy me lunch. He was that miserable. But I suppose it was good to see him out and about anyway.
Tell them what you had to eat, Councillor Barry. I had a coffee.
Thanks, Paul. Councillor Nicholson, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and thanks, Brian, for your report, and totally concur with what Councillor Barry has said. I think congratulations. I think Banbridge is looking really well, and when this, to complete this, the renewal project, with the footpaths and the railings and whatever else, and obviously the murals and stuff and Game of Thrones. So it's all very positive. And I have to add, Brian, I didn't get to it, but I saw a lot of the coverage on the Fusion Festival in Armagh, and again, another top quality event by your department. I think the quality of the acts that were performing in whether it be in Armagh, be it out in the orchard, be it wherever it was, they were first class. And as I say, I'm sure this event of Fire and Light, which obviously I take it it's in conjunction with Game of Thrones, no? But what do you call it? It'll be another successful one. So as I say, congratulations, and congratulations to your staff, Brian. It is really, it's good to see events like that again in the borough. So thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Councillor Jill McCauley, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just to concur really with the members' opinions there to date, I think it's great to see the Armagh councillors coming over to see Banbridge and see how it's actually done. and being so jealous of us. But I think, you know, the artwork is great. I know art is subjective, but I think the overwhelming opinion on it is that it's looking really well. So well done, Brian, and all the team really in our town centre and the working group that were involved in this. And obviously we'll continue to support you all, and I'm looking forward to the Festival of Light and Fire as well. As a big Game of Thrones fan, I think it's imperative that we'll keep that link and try to support our local town and the industries around that. So well done.
Thank you, Jill. Councillor Kyle Savage, please.
Thank you, Chair. No, it's great to see Banbridge getting us fair share here, so it is in the town, and murals and all is looking well. And it's good to see that Armagh people find their passports to come over to County Down. But Brian, I suppose one thing is the all these events going on throughout the borough. How many events have you run in Dromore, or are you planning to run in Dromore?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the question, Councillor Savage. As was raised at the council meeting sort of at the end of last month, there is obviously the need to bring the event strategy forward, which we're going to do in this quarter. It'll commence in this quarter. So we will bring some plans forward, and we will have workshops with members to look at the events plan going forward, which we have an events program at the minute. There's a number of planned activities. A number of these have been funded as a one-off as part of the Recovery Tourism Fund, the last two events that were referenced. So yes, I think when we get into the workshops and we work out where our events delivery is focused, then that will come through.
Mr. Chair, if I just could come back, really, that's not answering the question I asked. I asked how many events did you run, or have you run in Dromore, or are you planning to run Dromore? So you sort of half answered the question. So really, Dromore has been forgotten about, as per usual. So it is. But I would like to see that readdressed going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kyle, and I'm sure Brian will work away and try and do a bit for Dromore. So thank you. Okay, members, thank you. That's Brian's report finished, and can we have a proposal and second to win the committee for confidential business, please? Councillor Barry and Councillor Kyle Savage, thank you. Okay, members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into a confidential session of the Council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask the ICT officers to please turn off the feed and confirm we're in the confidential section of this meeting? in open session. Thank you, Colin. Okay, members, agenda item 8 with no correspondence, on agenda item 9 with no other business. So that concludes the meeting tonight. Thank you for your patience, and thanks again, and have a good night.